I've been exercising first thing in the morning and listening to some great music. Let's get our candle lit. Come on, baby. Haha. I'm Rita Hickman. I'm a body-mind expert. Oh, stay lit. And I'm a shiatsu massage therapist who is very, very good at helping women get out of narcissistic and toxic relationships. Oh, I had some sage. Oh, here it is. So I'm glad you're here today. And today's topic is how to spot a narcissist power play. What does it look like? So, when people are stressed out, narcissists, you, whoever it may be, when people are stressed out, they have one of 5 personality patterns. So think about it. When you're stressed out, one of the ways that you cope may be to disassociate. You know, when anybody's stressed out, of these 5, personality patterns, narcissists, you, the empath, you, the codependent, everybody out in the world, everybody tends to respond in one of these 5 ways. They either disassociate, whereas they check out. They get angry, which you're familiar with a narcissist. They become very rigid in their thinking. It's either black or white. They focus in and become laser focused on one thing, as in they can't see anything else, or they people please. Now, these are normal. Everybody goes through this stuff. Everybody, when they're stressed out, will flip over into their sympathetic nervous system and usually express one of these 5 ways of handling it. The difference between you and a narcissist is a narcissist's display of those emotions, display of those reactions lacks empathy. They lack caring even a tiny little bit about you. When a narcissist is in their stress patterns, when they're either disassociated or they're angry or they're laser focused on something like a dog with a bone, or they're rigid in their thinking, it's either right or wrong, good or bad, black or white, or they're people pleasing, telling you the things that you want to hear, maybe love bombing you, maybe taking you for dances in the rain or a really nice dinner, to try to, it's still another one of those responses to stress. And a narcissist is almost always under stress. They carry this low level of stress. That's why you, the empath, when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, feel stressed out all the time. Maybe before you met them, you were at like a low level of low level of tension. But after you meet a narcissist, after you're in a relationship with them, it skyrockets through the roof. So that's because a narcissist is always dealing with that low level of tension, that low level of stress. And so at any time, at any second, they may switch which personality pattern that they use. That's why it gets so confusing. Many women sit there and wonder, and they say, how can they switch channels so quickly? How can they go from, being the nicest person on the planet to someone who's now screaming at me and calling me names I wouldn't call my biggest enemy? That's because a narcissist is constantly in one of those 5 elements, one of those 5 personality patterns. And yeah, you've probably been in them too at times. You've people pleased, you've disassociated, you've been rigid in your thinking. But as I said, the difference between you and a narcissist is a narcissist lacks the empathy. They lack the ability to say, you know what, this isn't who I am. These aren't my values. This isn't what matters to me. All that goes out the window, and they just go full force with whatever one of those coping mechanisms it is. So a narcissist power play is when they look at, when they switch around from one tactic to another tactic to a third tactic in order to try to gain control, in order to feel control of the situation. And so they only have like 5 tools, because when you're stressed out, you're actually not that smart. You actually aren't having a lot of insights and inspirations and understandings. Your head and your heart and your gut just aren't connected with each other. That's normal. That's what all of us do. And when a narcissist is constantly in that level, it means they're going to be switching channels from one tactic to another tactic to a third tactic to the fourth to the fifth and then back to the first one. They'll flip around all the time. So what can you do about this? What can you do about someone who's constantly manipulating you, constantly in their place of not being rational, of their place of wanting to keep you off guard, Because if they keep you off guard, they have a sense of power. If they keep you off guard, they feel strong about themselves. They feel better about themselves because they're distracted, because you're in hysterics or trying not to be in hysterics, and they caused it. And it's, there's a level of entertainment. So if you ever start to feel too bad for a narcissist, just hold your horses, take a step back and realize part of these power plays for them, part of these purposely pushing your buttons in one of these five, behaving one of these five ways, there is a level of entertainment because they're a puppet master who's pulling all the strings. So you as an empath is walking into the relationship thinking, I want to have an honest, authentic, good relationship. And because a narcissist wants someone to distract them, wants someone to feed into their stories and their ideas, they're going to manipulate you for their own personal entertainment value. I know. Now, how come a narcissist can be crazy so many times, but then other times they're really nice? Now, in common narcissist theory, let's say, a narcissist is a narcissist is a narcissist for the rest of their life. I want you to start thinking about this in a little bit different reframe. Someone is narcissistic, which is, behaving in one of those 5 personality patterns when they are flipped into their into their sympathetic nervous system. That's the fight or flight. And when someone is in fight or flight, which a narcissist almost always is, their brain doesn't work together. Their body doesn't work together, and they're explosive and they're unpredictable, and they're going to be manipulating you. That's why you feel it all the time. But there are those rare moments that you found where they are connected, they're centered, they're intuitive, they're self-reflective. They come up with really interesting, creative ideas. That's because when they're in that space, they're in their calm, centered, intuitive nervous system. So when you're looking at a narcissist, you're really not looking at some monster or some demon. You're looking at someone who is constantly in a state of their body being dysregulated, their brain being dysregulated, and they're desperately trying to gain control by pushing your buttons in one of their 5 tools, which is to, disassociate, speak to the hand, or which is rage and anger, those rage texts they send you, or maybe it's people pleasing and pandering. It's that people pleasing and that pandering, very different. Hang on a second. I need to turn off my Bluetooth, otherwise my headphones are going to give me problems. There we go. So when a narcissist is kind and authentic, which is probably what you were attracted to in the first place, they're in a good space. They feel calm, they feel confident, their life is going for them, they've got some resiliency, they've got some willpower, and they're able to be that higher version of themselves, which is what you really liked. But the majority of the time, they're in this place of not knowing how to handle how they feel. And the best way they know how to handle how they feel is one of those 5 things. Oh, yeah. So disassociation is like talk to the hand. I know nothing about you. Lying, that'll totally happen. They'll tell you things just to hurt your feelings. So that's it's kind of like the people pleasing, but it's more like I'm going to plug into your nervous system and I'm going to take you on a joy ride. I'm going to take you on a ride of my choosing, on an adventure of my choosing, and you won't like it, and that's too bad because that's just the way life is. I remember narcissist once telling me, well, when they married me, that's what they signed up for. They signed up for this. This is what happens. And I thought, wow, that's really kind of crazy. Nobody signs up to be treated, as if they're small, as if they're nothing. So a narcissist power play is that anger, or it's the love bombing, or it's the lying to hurt you, or it's the rigid black and white thinking, or it's like the dog and the bone thinking. If you're seeing any one of those, they are the same thing. They're the sympathetic nervous system freaking out, and the parasympathetic nervous system being offline, being, not plugged in. So when a narcissist is playing you, the number one thing you need to teach yourself is to pause. Because what a narcissist is trying to do is they're trying to hijack your emotions. They're trying to hijack your energy and get you off balance. They're trying to get you, off your stability. And their energy and their dysregulation you'll pick up on, you'll absorb. I had a woman talk to me the other day, and she said, she was asking her husband, she says, "Are you anxious?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm completely anxious." She goes, "Oh, okay, I was wondering why I was anxious." You're feeling what the narcissist is feeling. That's one of the worst things about trauma, is the feelings aren't yours. Instead, you're picking up the feelings of someone else and you're taking them on and thinking they're yourself. So when you feel crazy, it's because a narcissist is controlling your emotions. So if you pause, if you see any of these behaviors, you need to pause, and then you need to do something that gets you out of that crazy, that gets you out of that game, out of that cycle that they're playing. And if you can get yourself level, then what happens is your energy starts to take power and control over the situation. Your energy starts to be the stronger one. Right now, you're letting the narcissist be the strong, energetic source of the relationship. You're looking to them and saying, they're determining how I feel. That's codependency in a nutshell, when you allow someone else to determine how you feel. Now, codependency always made me crazy for a long time because I thought, what is that? What do you mean? I'm not trying to let someone else control how I feel. I just don't know how to stop it. I don't know how to stop them from controlling how I feel. You have the power to control how your body's reacting, whether you're in a parasympathetic or whether you're in the sympathetic. And a narcissist wants you on the dark side with them. They want you over there in the crazy so that they're not alone. They want to feel like they're the one in charge of everything so that that they can feel more centered and more confident about themselves. You have to stop playing that game. You have to see what they're doing as they are dysregulated and they are in their sympathetic nervous system. And your job, your only job, is to pause and get yourself regulated. Pause and get your nervous system calmed down. Whether it's you have to go to the bathroom and use one of those great tools I've shown you that will calm your nervous system down like in 60 seconds, or whether you put a pause to it and say, you know what, you seem agitated and that's upsetting me. And because I'm upset, I'm going to need to leave. One of the biggest challenges that women have is they don't think this way. They don't think about setting boundaries. They don't think about protecting themselves. They think they have no choice. Because if they don't do what a narcissist wants them to do, then the whole thing will blow up. It'll blow up in their face. There'll be painful, awful, horrible things that are said or done. The step you need to make is realizing that if you start to protect yourself by making choices like, I don't want to be dysregulated. I don't want to be in my sympathetic nervous system. I don't want to feel crazy. And what am I going to do to avoid that? That's the shift. Because you've got more power than you think to avoid feeling crazy. But it starts with you taking responsibility for wanting to be calm. It starts with you taking your focus off of the narcissist and all of the games that they're playing and putting them in the same box and saying, you know what, you're dysregulated. I'm not playing that game. Doesn't matter how they do it. Doesn't matter whether they cut you off and ignore you. Doesn't matter if they scream at you. It doesn't matter if suddenly they're very nice to you and make you dinner. It doesn't matter if they give you no flexibility and no compassion. They're all the same thing. They're all the same thing. And if you see any of them, instead of feeling like, oh my God, what do I do this time? How am I going to handle it? What's going on? Why are they doing this? How do I make them stop? Which is the normal reaction you have when we go into that fight or flight place. That's normal. That's so normal to be like, oh no, how do I control the situation? You don't control the situation. What you do is you love and respect yourself enough to say, I don't want to walk into that situation anymore. I don't want to be that person that feels off balance. And what am I going to do about it? I'm going to pause and I'm going to say, I don't want to feel off balance. I'm leaving. Even before it becomes a problem. You know, one of the neatest things that you find when you start doing this work is that when you step into a problem, when you've got the courage to step into it and stay level and calm, you actually diffuse a lot of problems. Like if someone's rage texting you and you have the courage to say, you seem kind of angry. That's really upsetting me. I'm going to block you for a while. If you want to talk to me, I'm not going to be available. And actually block them. Don't look at their texts. Don't look at their stuff. And yes, they'll be rageful and they'll be angry. But most narcissists they come across as monsters, and they do and they say things that are kind of monstrous, but at the end of the day, they feel helpless and they feel empty and they feel out of control of their own emotions and they question themselves. And when you are strong and rooted in your knowing of the life you want to live a life that's balanced and centered and caring. You want to live a life that's mutually beneficial to other people. That's what you want to live. You don't want to live this crazy, manipulative, pushing buttons, lying to each other sort of life. And you have to start standing up for that principle. You have to start saying to yourself, I'm not going to let anyone hijack my emotions anymore. That's how you break out of the codependency, is you decide for yourself that who you are and what you need and how you want to live is more important than anything a narcissist can say or do. And you have the right and you have the power to start protecting yourself. And you can protect yourself. It doesn't have to be in melodramatic ways. It can be a simple way where, you stop responding. You stop saying, I'm not playing this game. If you want to communicate with me, you need to communicate with me in a rational level way. And if you're not going to communicate with me in a rational level way, I'm not communicating with you. And this happens a lot. We get manipulated, we get hijacked, we get controlled by someone else's emotions because we're afraid of what they're going to do, because we're afraid of what's going to happen. And this is the breaking out of the codependency. When you step into that fear with support and love and care, with other people around you, with tools on your side, you start stepping towards and resolving the problem instead of being a victim to it. When I was, how old was I? I was probably like 9 or 10 years old. And when I was 9 or 10 years old, I somehow had the chutzpah to stop an abusive situation and get myself out of it. I somehow had the ability to say, my parents will be looking for me. We need to go now. And that actually stopped the situation. I spent decades feeling victimized by that, feeling like I shouldn't have had to protect myself. I shouldn't have had to stand up for myself. Decades dealing with that, in that space of anger and hurt and fear that I would have to protect myself and I wouldn't be capable of it because the monsters in the world were so big and I was so small. When you start to do this healing work, you can look back on those situations and instead of look at them as I was traumatized, it ruined me for life, you're able to look at it as in, that was my rite of passage. That was me standing up for me and starting this path of standing up for myself. And we all have those. If you've made it this far, you all have those moments where you started to stand up for yourself. And you've probably gone as far as you can alone. You've probably made lots of changes, lots of, hay house stuff and personal growth and self-help. You've probably been right there with it. And now is the time to get the support and get the help that you need so that you can rise above it. You can only go so far by yourself. The lesson you haven't learned is that people are trustworthy. A lot of people are trustworthy. And you have to let go of the people who aren't. And you have to keep the people who resonate with the life you want to live, which is one where you're not victimized, you're not abused, you're not manipulated, you're not attacked from left field, and where you don't have to go home and feel worried and scared that it's going to be another rough day. You get to start saying enough, and you pause, and you do something that regulates your nervous system, and then decide what you want to do. The greatest gift you can give yourself is to pause, to do something that regulates your nervous system, to calm you down, get you centered and intuitive again, and then make your decision. Really, you can hide in the bathroom, you can hide behind a refrigerator door, you can go out to the car for something. And if you do it sooner rather than before it blows up, as soon as you start to feel anxious, if you handle it, if you manage it, instead of hoping that a narcissist won't be crazy, if you handle it and manage it, you'll start to take steps forward. Your body will heal itself. You will start to have courage and confidence. You'll start to make healthier decisions for yourself. It's like it picks up momentum and picks up speed. But it all starts with you recognizing how you feel. If there's a knot in your stomach, or your heart's beating too fast, or your shoulders are tense, and saying enough. The first and most important thing I can do is get myself back into a healthy place. And when you do that, everything in your life starts to change because you've been in this pattern for your whole life. of responding to bullies or responding to toxic people this way. And it's time to make the shift, and it's time to make the change. And I know you can do it. So if you want some help, reach out, rhickman at inspiremassage.com, or go to my website, inspiremassage.com, or it's soon, not yet, going to be ritahickmancoaching.com. I do 2 free strategy calls with people. So just, send me an email, send me a text, and say, hey, I'd love to have an informal chat, and we'll get on. And we'll have 2 phone calls. The first one will give you some great tools and see where you're at. And then the second one will see how they're working for you and tune it up a little bit so that you can finally start doing what you want to do, which is respect yourself. I will teach you how to respect yourself. I will teach you how to set boundaries. I will teach you how to take care of your own emotions without having to become crazy about it. And I'll teach you how to take back your life. Okay? And I'll give you the support and the love and the systems and the tools that you need. So I hope you have a great weekend, great rest of your day, great Friday. And I am jumping off now. Okay? I will see you on Monday. And Sunday, we've got a healing thing. So look for an event. Keep your eyes open for an event. I'm starting to do every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we're going to come together and I'll take you through my healing process. I'll take you through what I do to deal with my emotions and work through this stuff and really show up in a great space. Okay? So look for that on Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to look for the event, and you'll need to register and show up, or you can watch the live stream or the replay and go through it yourself. You need to start taking better care of yourself, and Sunday nights will help you do that. I'll talk to you later, okay?